I feel like we overlook this and the impact and comfort that the presence of our family or other people give us in those quiet moments. I feel like we don't consider that when we're by ourselves, it will really just be us. Not us in our room with our family a few steps away, you know? It would just be us by ourselves, facing our own thoughts and our own company in that silence. And that seems daunting, doesn't it? What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mumbling Thoughts. And as you all know, I've been living in the attic, and it feels pretty homey, and I really like it, especially with this rug that I have. It feels really nice to just lay here and lay on my squishmallow. And this is really where I do a lot of my creative work. And because of how homey it feels, because of how spacious it is, it just allows me to be more creative, and it's a place for my creative outlet. And I'm really grateful for having this space because I'm really happy with it compared to the small room I had on the first floor. Don't get me wrong, that was really nice in its own way because of the big window, but having this much space, it just feels really nice. And something about being in the attic makes it feel just that much more homey, if you get what I mean. But also, since it is the attic, it feels more isolated. But it feels isolating in a freeing kind of way, in the sense that I'm in my own little world, because I'm kind of separated in a way from my parents and my family, because you need to take the stairs to get here. Not like we don't have stairs from first to second floor, but the additional stairs that it takes to come up here, it makes it feel a lot more isolated, which is what I thought I wanted. But I feel like last night, I guess 2 nights ago, I kind of got a glimpse of what it might feel like to live alone. And this is really what I wanted to talk about in today's video, which is how we often want to move out because we feel like we'd gain this freedom. But at the same time, I feel like we don't understand that solitude and being alone, truly being alone, also comes with that freedom. So let's get, I'm gonna just stick with without further ado. So, without further ado, let's get into it. It just sounds right. So, 2 nights ago after dinner, I cut up a dragon fruit. And for all those people out there, the only right way to eat a dragon fruit is if you cut it in half and you get a spoon and you scoop that shit out. Okay, same with kiwis and same with mangoes. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's the only right way you should be eating your fruit, scooping it with a spoon. Because it just makes it so much more tasty, you know? Who the fuck wants to put in all that effort to cut it into cubes or dice it and get a fork and eat it? Freaking just spoon that shit, you know? Hey, wait. No, not anything weird, but like just use the spoon and scoop it. It just so much easier, so much more convenient, and it just makes it so much more tastier and better, you know? So anyways, I usually I would chill a little bit in the living room after I eat, while I'm eating fruit or just scrolling on my phone, especially after I come home from class and after I finish dinner. I kind of want to relax a little bit before I do some more work or go upstairs. But that night, I kind of wanted to just be alone. And when I got upstairs, I kind of just sat there for a few seconds, and I didn't even know what I was feeling, but I just felt weird because I wanted to be alone, but not that alone, you know? So I started to look on YouTube for something to watch, but I didn't want anything too stimulating or too distracting. I wanted something kind of low key, chill, and calm. And what popped in my head was mumbling thoughts. I wanted something like mumbling thoughts where somebody was just talking about what they were thinking about, what was on their mind. You know, something low key, chill, something raw and real. And that's when I realized that what I wanted was actually connection. But the thing is, I couldn't really find anything that matched what I wanted to watch. Because a lot of the videos out there are giving advice. There are people who are advice givers. And I didn't really want that because I felt like it wasn't real and it wasn't raw, if that makes sense. Because they're giving advice, but how much of that is real and genuine? And even if it is real and genuine, it just didn't give off like real and raw vibe. I know I keep saying that, but I feel like that's the only way to describe what I wanted, and giving advice just didn't feel that way, especially when I didn't need advice. I kind of just wanted to have someone's company, to have someone just be talking and make it feel like we're having a conversation. And I know that sounds lonely, but that's really how it is when you're just by yourself. But, and we'll get into that later, but eventually I couldn't settle on watching anything, so I actually just sat there eating my little dragon fruit without watching anything, without listening to anything. I was just I was just kind of there with my thoughts. And I know that sounds sad and that sounds so lonely, but it actually wasn't as bad as it seemed. Cuz I was kind of just there with my thoughts, and I was actually surprisingly okay with that. I was just kind of thinking through my thoughts. It was quiet, it was peaceful, and in a way, it was very satisfying. I don't know if satisfying is a word, but right now, the only word that comes to mind is satisfying. Maybe fulfilling, but I feel like satisfying describes what I want to say. And that's when I began to think, if this was what it would be like if I were to live alone, would every day just be me sitting by myself, left in my ugh, left in my own company? Oh my god, what the fuck is happening? Not wanting anything distracting, not anything too loud or stimulating, but something more chill, low key, and raw, like someone's company, or wanting connection so I don't feel alone. But while I was in the middle of those thoughts, I realized that I had finished my dragon fruit and I didn't want food in my room even though I was eating in my room. I don't know if you guys feel that way as well, but I went downstairs to throw it out and I said goodnight to my mom. And I didn't realize it then, but that small moment was a moment, and it was able to shake off some of that loneliness because I had an interaction with someone else. You know, And we'll also like I'm trying to hint at something. I hopefully you guys can get it. But I went back upstairs and that loneliness continued. But since there was nothing to watch, I was thinking, what if I just watch Mumbling Thoughts instead of looking for something like it? Why don't I just watch Mumbling Thoughts instead? You know? And so I put on some of my earlier videos, and while I was listening, like this is gonna sound so sad, but while I was listening or watching my own videos, I was making comments. I was saying like, what the fuck does this guy think he is? Like, who does he think he is? What the fuck kind of jokes is he saying? Like, making fun of myself, laughing at myself. I was literally talking to myself about myself. No, I was watching myself talking to myself about myself. Like, I don't like. Do you realize how sad that shit is? I didn't realize how sad that shit is until I started thinking about like what the fuck I was actually doing. But it was in a sort of way okay because it was able to fill that loneliness and that silence in the night, you know? And it kind of served its purpose, which I'm grateful for. And I hope some of you guys can feel the same way while you watch my videos. You feel like you're having a genuine conversation, you have company, and this feels real and raw to you. At least that's what I'm hoping Mumbling Thoughts is for you. And if not, let me know. Let me know what I can do better and how this can feel real and more raw. But anyways, um I later the next day I started to think I continued that mumbling thought of would it be like to live alone? And I was thinking right now it's a full house. You know, it's my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, my nephew, and me. And it's really lively, it's really fun. But when or if I live by myself, it would just be me in my own space with my own thoughts. And that kind of felt daunting. Not that I was scared, but in a way, it seemed weird or off. Because I'm so used to living with at least my parents, you know, for my entire life. And just seeing that, or just thinking that I would be by myself if I moved out was so weird. And I actually never really thought of that. And I feel like a lot of us don't think of that either when we say we want to move out. Because, yes, it'd be freeing to have my own space, but sometimes I wonder if I'd actually be happy living alone. Because there's a part of me that always craved to move out and be by myself. I always said if I had the chance or when I could, I would move out because I would have that freedom. I wouldn't have to take into consideration like my parents or my nephew because I need to take care of him. I can just do whatever I want whenever I want without having to care for anybody else, you know? But but now I wonder if that freedom would start to feel empty after a while. Would I love the silence that comes with being alone and having my own place? Or would I end up missing that sort of background noise or that presence that my family has when I'm with them living at home? Because if I lived alone, I'd come home to nobody, I'd wake up to nobody, I wouldn't have anybody to talk to. It would just be me eating dinner, breakfast, whatever, going about my day by myself. If I had something I wanted to share, who would be there with me? If I had something to say, who would be there to talk with me, to give me company? Right now, if I wanted to, I could go downstairs and go talk to my sister or nephew or with my parents. But if I were to move out and live alone, I wouldn't have that anymore. It would just be me with my own thoughts and my own company. And what I'm really trying to get at right now, and what I was trying to hint at before, is when we say we want to move out, we always think about the freedom that we get, you know, the freedom of doing whatever we want, whenever we want, not having to be supervised by our parents or having them nag at us. We would just be by ourselves. But it's exactly that, being by ourselves. I feel like we overlook this and the impact and comfort that the presence of our family or other people give us in those quiet moments. I feel like we don't consider that when we're by ourselves, it will really just be us. Not us in our room with our family a few steps away, you know? It would just be us by ourselves, facing our own thoughts and our own company in that silence. And that seems daunting, doesn't it? So I wonder, if I move out, would I learn to be my own company, or would I look for distractions like I did that night to fill the void, you know? And maybe that's the scariest part of living alone, facing ourselves without any distractions. Because when no one's around, we have to face those thoughts and our own company that we usually push aside when we're with other people. We have to confront our own mind. And it's easy to push it away when we're surrounded by others and the air is filled with the voices of our family, and knowing that they're just a few steps away if we wanted company. But now, when we're by ourselves, are we able to confront those thoughts, our own company, be able to be our own company? And that's why it's funny, because I've always thought I wanted to live alone, and I saw that as a sort of goal, a sign that shows that I've made it, that I'm independent and in control. But now I'm kind of having second thoughts. I can't help but wonder if I'd miss the company of my family, with them being a few steps away if I got bored or needed some company. Would I really be able to live by myself and face those thoughts? Or would I try to distract myself from those thoughts and from facing myself? Would I be able to really enjoy my own company? But I feel like I'm getting practice and experience with both. I have my own space in the attic, but I'm not truly alone either. Because right now, with the space that I have, I'm learning to be by myself while still having the option to connect with others or have company if I wanted to, because they're all just downstairs, a few steps away. But I feel like with that night, when I was able to eat that little dragon fruit, once again, cut in half, when I was able to really be by myself and just eat it with facing my own thoughts, I feel like I'm making progress towards being able to live alone, confront those thoughts, and be my own company. So, I guess what I'm learning is that solitude is really complex, and it's more complex than I thought. And I feel like it's more complex than we think. It's not just about freedom and independence, but it's also about finding comfort in your own company. Being alone doesn't have to be lonely, but it takes practice to be able to feel that way. And I think there's something valuable in being able to sit by yourself, to be okay with the silence, and to know that we don't always need someone to fill the space. Right now, I feel like I'm lucky to have this like sort of in between because I have my own space, but I also have the company of my family if I ever need it. I feel like this is sort of practicing for my future when I do want to move out. And I feel like it's something I definitely want to do, but it'll be weird, like I said, being alone. And I'm slowly learning what that really means. And I'm really grateful to be able to have found that out now because if I were to move out, I would be like, damn, I'm actually so fucking lonely. But with this practice, just being by myself, trying to sit with my thoughts without any distractions, I really feel like it's something that I'll be able to enjoy my own company when I do move out. And I'm grateful for that. But I feel like it's a skill that we all should learn, not just me, not just the people who want to move out, but just everyone. I feel like it's important for us to be able to sit with our thoughts and confront them without any distraction because oftentimes we're always trying to distract ourselves with scrolling, watching videos, even listening to music sometimes, because we need something to stimulate ourselves. And because of that, we're not able to just think. We're not able to just listen to our own thoughts and confront them. Because it's a daunting task, it's scary, it's tough, because you're literally trying to dig deeper about yourself, within yourself. And we're not really taught to do that, or we're not really comfortable with that. But I feel like that's a muscle that we need to build. And I'm grateful that I'm learning to build that. And I feel like you all should build that muscle, build that skill to confront your own thoughts and be your own company. Because even if you are alone, you have good company if you learn to enjoy your own presence. And this is really what it means to be alone instead of feel lonely. Because being alone means that you're by yourself physically, but you're choosing to. Not because you're antisocial or you're scared of confronting people, but because you choose to be alone and you're able to confront your thoughts and be your own company. But when you feel lonely, that's literally you feeling isolated and needing company. And I feel like that's a really important distinction to make. Being alone versus feeling alone. One is an active choice, another is you feeling the lack of connection and you feel isolated. But when you are just being alone, you're able to confront your thoughts and be your own company. And I feel like that's a really empowering and important skill and muscle that we all should build and learn to do. So that's all for this week's Mumbling Thought. Thank you for spending this time and listening to me mumble about my reflections. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up with these mumbles. I'm gonna make mumbling thoughts a thing. You fucking wait for it. But anyways, if you also resonated with some of these thoughts, feel free to leave your own mumbling thought in the comments below. Like I've always said, I want to make this a safe place for us to share, and I want you guys to reflect on your own mumbling thoughts as well. So remember, freedom isn't the only thing that comes from being alone. Solitude comes as well. That's all for this week's Mumbling Thought. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.